So, welcome. Hi, my name is Cartoon Ray. This is the second class of Cartoon Academy. And in this class, we're going to talk about what I think of as being the single most important technique to think about when you are drawing cartoons. Again, this is Cartoon Academy. Academy. With Cartoon Ray. Class 2. Boy, Academy. Boy, yo. Chuck it. Okay, so the secret principle of cartoon drawing. What do you see when I make this mark? When I draw that, what you should see, if you're a reasonable person, is the letter T. But that is not what I see as a cartoonist. What I see as a cartoonist is a straight line that goes behind another line. Anytime the human eye sees a line abruptly stop and hit another line, we tend to assume that it continues past. So where you can simply see a T, you could also imagine that the line continues above. And we're talking about the line becoming invisible when it goes behind another line. It's the basic principle by which if I draw this square and this square, you should be able to tell me which square is in front of the other square. Your brain, my brain, the human brain, tends to complete the shape and suggest, oh, I know that there is more behind that. It doesn't matter what shapes you do, the lines butting into another line implies to our brain that they are going behind. So my artists, my students here today who are drawing along with me, just try this with me a little bit. I would like you to just do a random doodle shape. It doesn't have to be smooth. It doesn't have to be good. And then from that shape, I want you to create another shape. So make your first spot, pick a spot on it, and then draw out from there until you butt back into that first shape. And do the same again and butt back into the first shape. And it doesn't matter what kind of shapes you do. We just want to get in the habit of thinking anytime a line butts into another line that creates, right there, there's that little T shape. Everywhere you look, every one of these has, if you just look at this, what you're really seeing is a T. Anytime you have that T shape, you are implying to the person looking at your picture that the line is disappearing. Any one of these gets that sense that the shape is continuing out of our range of sight. Now, to my more experienced drawers, this is probably pretty obvious, but it's worth verbalizing. Even if it's something you know to be true, how often do you actually think about the fact that that's what's happening? Is anytime you put something out of sight by butting it into another line, you are implying that it's behind something. Okay, so, as a quick review, if we can, last time, the principles I talked to you about were the critic versus the creator. There's two parts of your brains, and you can't use them both at the same time. While you're drawing, I would like you to only use your creator. If you hear any voice in your head that says that's not good enough or that's stupid while you're drawing, if you think what I'm drawing is stupid, go ahead and criticize it. But don't criticize what you're drawing. Just draw, make your art, and then when you're done, you can say, oh, this could have been better. I would have changed something over here. I could have done a lot of different things. But while you're drawing, no criticism inside. Just do the work. It's too hard to do both things at once. Another thing that we talked about last class was the fact that we're building muscles. You think about it, and somebody's going to the gym and you know they're building up their biceps. What we are building up here are very fine muscles. So drawing a circle in a loop and continuing that loop, just drawing in itself is training your muscles to know what to do. And your muscles are going to be smarter than your brain by the end of well, there's no end to it, but after practicing drawing, you have trained muscles more than you've trained your brain. You've also trained neurons, but you haven't trained a conscious brain. What you've trained is the ability to go smooth, go fast, do precise work, but it's much more of an intuitive thing than a conscious thing. And that's why the third thing is that you don't have to worry about bad art. You just have to be bad times 100 equals good. Do it 1,000 times, do it 1,000,000 times, and you'll get good at it. Again, that goes back to getting the critic out of the way. We talked about going slow, breathing. So breathe in and breathe out. See if you can draw lines in a single breath, in and out. Because we're pursuing smooth line work here. Two more things, and then we'll be going forward. Sometimes we focus too much on where we are. So if I'm just looking at the pen and the pen tip, I can wind up with a very forced line. You know, it can be very jagged. And one way to get past that is to imagine when you are shooting a basket, you don't look at the ball, you look where you want the ball to go. So by focusing on a specific point, you know, if I only look right there, I can draw a line. I'm just staring at that point, but I can draw the line and get to it. This is a really good practice. Create a spot, put your pen somewhere else while staring at that spot, and then come up to it. Last thing is posture and self-care. I drew him last time. This is my worst version of myself when I draw. He's got a scowl on his face. He's dehydrated. He probably hasn't put on clean clothes today. His shoulders are hunched. His pen is held tightly. I don't know why he's drawing with his left hand, but he's very tense and angular. And when you're drawing, because you have to do it 1,000,000 times, because you have to draw so many times just to get it right, and practice, you need to take care of your body from the start. You need to know how to sit. So just check your body. You know, you can't see me off camera, but I'm shaking it out. You want to check yourself to make sure that you are taking good care of yourself. Okay, that's the review. Let's go forward. So what I'm fundamentally saying is the letter T is actually a line that is disappearing behind another line. And you can take that basic principle and extrapolate out a lot of other things. So I could turn this into a needle going behind fabric. Right? Now you see how that letter T became a whole other thing. And give that a shot. So give me 2 lines like this. And then you don't have to do a needle, but I just want you could do any kind of shape you want. I'm going to do, here's the head of a rubber chicken. And then here is the body of a rubber chicken. I don't know why it's a rubber chicken. Maybe because I just love Gonzo and he was always a rubber chicken kind of comedian. But I want you to make that line, or 2 lines rather, and do a shape on one side and a shape on the other. Because what I want you to fundamentally get is that we can make things appear to go behind something else. Okay, cool. And you guys, you're sticking with me. This is awesome. We're halfway through class now, just so you know. So stick around. Okay, we did a little bit of shape play here, but that's a really good exercise. Wouldn't hurt to try it again, but let's do it a little bit more constructively, okay? So now what I want you to do is let's start by doing somewhere on your page, give me a circle, start at the top, and go about 3/4 of the way around, okay? Like so. Got it? 3/4 of a circle starting at the top. Now what I want you to do is a little bit over from where you started that circle, do another circle. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be the same size, but just do another circle, start it from there and edge around like so. And again, we're kind of going to get a curve. You don't have to match my curve. Nothing here is about getting it right. We just want to get the practice. It could be a small circle. It could be a really big circle, but we just want to keep these circles going around like so until we get to a place where now you're going to try and you're going to start on the last circle once you think you're tight in there and get it to cross over one side of the first line and the second line. So now we have effectively an infinite loop of cascading shapes, right? Now nothing, right? If this one's in front of this one, 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 but it continues to loop around. If you feel like it, you can also turn them into cartoon eyes. I think that's kind of a fun thing to do. So I think there's I forget what the Zelda villain is. That's like a cloud of floating eyes, but this is a fun way to try and create that Zelda boss. For the record, when I'm drawing these pupils, what I'm generally doing, I like the C's for pupils, but I'm also happy to just go one circle black, one circle white, and then use that white circle as the base to go for a bigger circle around. Am I going too fast? I apologize if I am. I appreciate all the love and support I'm seeing on here. So try that one more time. Let's just do 4 circles, all right? We're going to start there. We're going to go up. Okay, I don't know if I can actually do it in 4. It might take 5. But we want to try and get these pretty tight. And it's okay, like there, I didn't quite get it. One class, we're going to talk about continuing lines that we didn't quite make. But I just want you to work on that cascading shape thing. All right? And one more thing, let's just try, create a single point on your page, and then consider that the top of your circle, and let's just do a half circle from there. Okay? Now, from that same point, do another circle going slightly out, like that. We're just going to keep making circles that kind of start at that same point and then curve back in on themselves, like this. And I'm going to go back up there and drop that line down. Did that make sense? Fundamentally, I want you to be practicing this idea of anytime you're drawing a character, you're really looking for what's in front so that you can draw the frontmost thing first and then come around to draw what's the next thing behind it. Okay, and then what butts out of that and what butts out of that. Which brings us to the first character we're going to draw, which is Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay? Sonic was one of the first characters I ever learned how to draw, and I drew him obsessively once I knew how to draw him. I'd like you to draw along with me here. Okay? Do me a favor and make an oval. I'm kind of putting mine at a slight upwards angle. You don't have to draw this arrow, but you can see if that's horizontal with the paper. This oval kind of points up like that, okay? That's, when I look at Sonic the Hedgehog, the shape that I see that is uninterrupted, that has no T's, about it, where there's no line ending, right? It's a continuous shape. It loops around forever. And that's what I want to start with. If I find a shape like that, even, for Mario, it's a similar thing where his nose kind of points up like that and it doesn't butt into anything. So you could do the same thing. All right, now from that first oval you have for Sonic, I want you to kind of have a T coming out of it, right? And then we're going to curve around like that. Okay, so you kind of have a double, a wave, a dip, and a wave. And then just have one curve come all the way around like that. See, and now this is Sonic's jaw area, and it sits behind the nose. The nose is in front of it. We can use that curve to come in a little bit to create the corner of Sonic's mouth. This is just a free-floating shape. We kind of have to place that inside of the other shape because it has no connection. What we really love is these lines where I can build a shape off of another shape. For example, with Sonic the Hedgehog, one of the cool things is that his whole head kind of implies a circle without being a circle. So you can kind of find the curve of the bottom of his jaw there and imagine you're continuing it on the other side of the nose as though you're continuing this larger circle before you do almost the same thing that you did before, where you have a wave and a dip and a wave. But you're going to kind of go up in that continuous circle move and then come down, back up, and around. Okay? We're still using that same principle. I knew I was going to start that line from the shape of the nose, and I knew where I was going to butt the line back in. Going back to that idea of aiming where you're going to throw the basketball, not looking at the basketball, I knew the line was going to hit there. So as long as I curved around to get where I wanted it, it was going to be okay. Similar thing up here. Now we can use the eye to build the eyebrow, although the other eyebrow is more like the mouth where it kind of echoes. And then a million different people will tell you million different ways that Sonic's spikes should be. For me, I like to think about that curve that we had when we created the bottom of his head coming up to the side of his eyeball. And I want to kind of imagine I'm continuing that curve going back until I get to whatever feels like a natural stop. You don't see it that much on him anymore, but when I started drawing Sonic the Hedgehog, you would draw the back of his head kind of shaped like that, coming up to an ear. You could, if you want to, you can leave that circle out. He doesn't really get that in depictions very much anymore, but I really like how it, kind of implies the continued, circle of his whole head. 2 lines to make the ear sticking out the other side, and then we're just kind of trying to find nice. You could even use our technique of slow breathing for these. Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Okay, I could have brought that in a little bit more, but it's okay. For convenience sake, if we're just drawing his head, I usually like to bring the spike in more like this. But when you're drawing him in a full body context, you'll want to bring the spikes down to his upper back anyway. Okay, so we're getting there. Now you just find where you want his eyes to be. In general, I think one oval floating in the middle of his eye over here is great. And on the other side, I kind of bring it in tight and close like that. You want them to feel like they're the same shape. And now that I've drawn this whole thing, you don't have to keep drawing this way, but I just want to show you what I was implying is that now we've kind of created a circle for his whole head, right? It's not quite there, but there's an invisible circle implied all the way around. And when we're drawing the eyes, there's kind of implied this, and that would make this oval of that eye the same shape approximately as this one. Always think about the shapes you're not drawing. They say that about jazz. Listen to the notes they're not playing. In cartoon drawing, we're looking at, what am I implying is there without drawing it? If I draw a square like this, and go like that, I'm implying that there's kind of a circle, even though I haven't drawn a circle. I've just drawn the square with a piece missing out of it. And in art school, we call that negative space. And here we call it what's missing still has an impact. Okay, so that's Sonic the Hedgehog. We have 7 minutes left in class. I will take questions and requests at the end, but I want to do a couple more challenges while I have you. Okay, here we go. These are some cool ones. You'll like these. Okay, so my artists, my people drawing. Next, I want you to do 2 tear shapes facing each other like so. Okay, you have it? Okay, now, I want you to imagine that this tear, so basically we're going to continue 1 tear shape down like this and circle around the other one. And we're going to aim to have it end just shy of the other line. See what I mean? So that then we can do the same thing with the other line to come around and go like this. All right, I'm using my ability to not judge myself right now to look at this and forgive the roughness of the drawing. I'll do it again though. You have a teardrop and another teardrop. And you can continue, it's sort of, right, there's 4 lines, there's 4 ways you could go on this, and you always can choose which one you're going to continue. And you want to trace around the outside. And then do the same thing coming this way. And one more time for the fun of it, 2 teardrops facing each other. And coming around this way. And coming around this way. This to me is the perfect example of the illusion of continuity. Ultimately, we've done a figure 8. We're implying the infinity sign, but we haven't actually drawn something continuous, right? There's nothing about this that actually continues, but our brains are telling us that it continues. I think that's cool. I hope you think it's cool too. Okay, 4 minutes left. Oh boy. Okay, so now here's another awesome challenge. This is one of my favorite things in the world. I want you to draw a curve, not quite a full circle, but a fairly continuous sort of half oval there. Okay, and then from there, do another one going in this other direction. So you don't have to draw the dots, but for me, it's kind of going like this. You can almost imagine it's a money sign. There's a straight line, and you want it to go up to the middle and curve back around. All right, you got it? Good. Okay, now what we want to do is, oh boy, can I do this? Yeah. Continue like this. Did you get it? I started slightly past that middle point and I drew a circle coming back around this way. And then the same thing going this way, coming back around to there. And concluding like so. It might actually help. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for you to draw a dotted line like so. Pick your middle point, pick your top point and your bottom point, and then use that to create curve 1 and curve 2. And then kind of echo around curve 1, coming back almost to where you started, and do the same thing coming back almost to where you started, until maybe you can just make your S shape and curve around, connect back to home, and have an interlinking chain. Okay? All right, so what we've talked about today is the tendency to believe that things that go out of sight, that bump into another line, are simply out of sight. That even though we haven't drawn them, we've implied that things continue behind. And you can use this to create all manner of interesting floating shapes. We talked about creating infinitely receding patterns using these circles. You could do this with anything. You could say, make an incomplete square, another incomplete square, another incomplete square, and go around like so until you have gotten back to the original and you have that same infinitely receding structure. We talked about Sonic the Hedgehog, and hopefully if you were drawing along, you got a handle on what was going on with him. And we talked about the infinity loop, which, remember, we just did 2 tiers and then connected them around. This is a great one to just get yourself drawing all the time. It's super fun. To me, it's like the upgraded version of that classic S chain. And finally, we talked about these loops. And on Thursday, we're going to keep building on this same theme. And I'm going to talk to you about complicating this pattern, where, to me, what we ultimately want to do is be able to create an unending chain like so. Well, actually, this chain is going to end, and I already botched it, but that's because this is for Thursday's class, and I'm just getting ahead of myself. But we want to be able to, over time, repeat these patterns in ways that we can use to create more complex imagery. Your homework is to submit a drawing of here, let's see, homework. You don't have to do this homework, but if you want the certificate at the end of this course that says you completed the course, you have to turn in 75% of it. So if you weren't here last week and you want to hop in, the website is submit to cartoonray.com. Homework, 75% equals certificate. And I will make you a custom certificate if you complete 75% of the homework at any quality level. And the homework is, I would like to see infinity, which was this one, and the chain, which was this one, and a Sonic, which is this one. You have to do better than I'm doing right now. I'm just getting the point across. And a circle, which is like, am I still on camera? I am, like this. You know what I'm talking about. Does that make sense? And if you submit that homework to the folder on the Dropbox on cartoonray.com, you will earn credit towards a certificate. The certificate doesn't mean anything other than that I think you're awesome and that you should think you're awesome, because you are awesome, because you did work and you learned something.